Men fall into the same trap again and again, the "I can fix her" trap. You meet a woman who's broken, maybe she has drama, maybe she's still carrying scars, and you tell yourself, if I love her more, if I give more, if I prove I'm different, she will finally change. Sounds noble, right? But let's be honest, how many men actually end up saving her, and how many end up destroying themselves in the process? Think about it. Why do so many men feel like they have to fix someone just to feel worthy of love? Why do you think pouring yourself out will automatically make her stay? And why does it usually lead to the opposite, her losing respect, her pulling away, her seeing you as weak? Isn't it strange that the harder you try to save her, the more she slips away from you? And here's the part no one tells you. That endless giving, that chasing, that proving yourself, it doesn't create love, it creates imbalance. It makes her the prize and you the servant. And let me ask you, when has that ever ended well for a man? Hasn't that always ended with heartbreak, sleepless nights, and you questioning if you were ever enough? Here's the hard truth. You can't fix her, and the more you try, the more you break yourself. But here's the twist. This is actually good news. Because you don't have to fix her. You were never supposed to. The only person you were meant to fix is you. Now think for a second. What happens when you stop chasing? What happens when you stop begging for her to see your worth, and instead, you actually build that worth in your own life? What happens when you live a life so full of purpose, so rich in direction, that your presence alone has weight? Doesn't that naturally flip the script? Instead of you running after her, she's now the one drawn to you. And that's what this video is about. Not games, not manipulation, not some fake aura you paste on top. This is about real detachment, about creating space, about absence that happens naturally when you're focused on building yourself. This is how attraction is born. This is how you create freedom, power, and peace without losing yourself in the process. By the end of this video, you'll see why chasing and fixing never works, and why the only way to truly lead, to truly attract, and to truly love is to save yourself first. The illusion of fixing her. Here's the thing most men don't want to admit. Sometimes we don't chase women because of love, we chase because of ego. That's the trap of the "I can fix her" mindset. It feels heroic. It makes you believe you're the one who will succeed where every other man failed. But ask yourself, why do so many men fall for this illusion? Why do they ignore the red flags, the chaos, the broken patterns, and still say, "I'll be the guy who heals her"? Is it love, or is it pride? Is it care, or is it your own fear of being unwanted unless you sacrifice yourself? And deeper than that, why do you think fixing her is even your job? Who told you that being a man means carrying the weight of her problems? Think carefully. How many times have you watched a man pour out his time, his money, his emotions, trying to prove he's stable enough, strong enough, patient enough? And what happens? He becomes drained, he loses focus, his own goals slip, his peace is shattered, and still, she doesn't magically change. She doesn't suddenly give him the loyalty, love, or respect he craves. Instead, she sees him as predictable, safe, and if we're brutally honest, boring. That's the hidden cost nobody talks about. The more you try to fix her, the more you break yourself. You give up your boundaries, you give up your standards, you give up the one thing that makes you valuable. Your ability to walk away. And let me ask you, when a man loses his ability to walk away, doesn't he lose everything? Now imagine this. Two men approach the same kind of woman. The first man says, "I'll save you. I'll fight your battles. I'll fix all the pain in your past." The second man, he listens. He respects her story. But then he says, "That's your journey. I can't walk it for you. I'll be here if you rise, but my life doesn't pause for your chaos." Which man do you think she feels drawn to? Which man does she respect? The savior, or the one who refuses to sacrifice himself to play savior? Here's the truth. Attraction doesn't grow in fixing. It grows in strength. It grows in calmness. It grows in a man's refusal to drown in someone else's storms. And this is where men miss it. Detachment is not about playing games. It's about living a life so firm, so grounded, that no woman's drama can pull you off center. So ask yourself, are you the man trying to save her, or are you the man saving yourself? Are you the one who drains his soul to carry someone else's weight, or the one who builds his own life so powerfully that others want to rise just to keep up with you? Because one path ends in heartbreak and the other path ends in freedom. Why constant presence destroys desire? Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to lose value the moment you make yourself too available? The moment you're always there, always ready, always one text away, suddenly she doesn't treat you like a priority. Why? Why does being present all the time, giving all the attention, all the reassurance, end up making you feel invisible? And here's the harder question. Why do men think availability equals love? Who sold us that lie, that the more we give, the more we chase, the more we show up, the stronger her feelings will become? But if that worked, why are so many men who give it all left confused, heartbroken, rejected? The problem isn't that you care. The problem isn't that you forget something critical. Human beings crave what is scarce, not what is endless. When you're always there, there's no mystery. When you're always calling, there's no silence for her to miss. When you're always available, there's no contrast between presence and absence. And what happens when there's no contrast? Everything becomes flat, boring, predictable. Think about it. What makes a movie thrilling? The pauses, the suspense, the moments you don't know what's coming next. What makes food exciting? Flavor, spices, balance. Nobody enjoys eating plain rice every single day, no matter how filling it is. So why do men think relationships are any different? Why do men think a woman will keep craving them when they show up every single moment with no break, no distance, no time for her to wonder? Here's the truth. Absence creates value. Not because you're playing games, but because absence is natural when a man has a real life. When you're building your purpose, chasing your mission, staying grounded in your own path, guess what? You're not always available. You're not glued to the phone. You're not waiting on every notification. You're too busy building. And that absence, it creates the one thing attraction thrives on, curiosity. She starts asking herself, where is he? What's he doing? Why isn't he rushing to reply this time? And inside her, something awakens, desire, energy, that pull toward you that no amount of chasing could ever create. Because when you step back, not by force, not by trick, but by living, she feels the space, and in that space she remembers your value. Now here's the brutal truth. If you ignore this principle, if you make yourself always available, always present, you rob her of that experience. You rob her of the chance to actually miss you. And when she can't miss you, she can't value you. So ask yourself right now, are you creating space in her mind, or are you suffocating the connection? Are you giving her something to long for, or are you destroying the contrast by being everywhere all the time? Because one path leads to attraction, and the other leads to invisibility. When she becomes your whole world, you lose yours. Let's be honest for a second. How many men completely throw their lives away the moment a woman enters it? How many stop chasing their dreams, stop pushing their purpose, stop building themselves because now she's everything? Sounds romantic, right? She's my world, my everything. But let's question it. Does that actually work? Or does it silently destroy the attraction you're hoping to keep alive? Why is it that when men put a woman at the very center, she slowly starts pulling away? Why is it that when you make her the entire reason you wake up in the morning, she stops respecting you the same way? Why do you think the more you sacrifice yourself, the more she seems to feel less, not more? It's simple. Because no woman truly wants to be your whole world. She wants to join your world. She wants to feel like she's part of something bigger than just emotional need. A mission, a life path, a man who has direction. She doesn't want to be the captain of your ship. She wants to sail beside you while you lead the journey. But what happens when you don't have that? When your identity is built only around her? Suddenly you're fragile. Every mood swing she has shakes you. Every disagreement feels like your entire life is under threat. Every text she doesn't answer fast enough becomes a panic attack, because you placed her on the throne of your existence. And now her every move controls your emotions. And here's the ugly truth. No woman is attracted to the man she controls. No woman respects the man who abandoned his path for her. That's not strength, that's dependence. And dependence is the exact opposite of what she's wired to desire. Now think how many men end up bitter because of this. They pour every ounce of time, money, energy into her. But when she leaves, they're empty. Nothing left, no mission, no foundation. Just a broken man asking himself, but I gave her everything. Why wasn't it enough? The answer hurts, but it's clear. Because you were supposed to give your life a mission first. You were supposed to stand firm in your purpose, so that when she walked in, she felt like she was stepping into something solid. Here's the paradox. The less you make her your everything, the more she wants to be a part of your life. The more you build your own path, the more she wants to join the journey. The more you focus on purpose, the more she values her place by your side. So ask yourself right now, have you been living for her or for you? Have you lost your mission because you thought romance was about sacrifice? Have you made her the sun, forgetting you were supposed to shine on your own first? Because if you don't fix that, you'll keep falling into the same trap, handing over your power, your peace, and your identity to someone who was never meant to carry it. The truth is simple. A man without purpose is a man without gravity. And if you have no gravity, no direction, no anchor, don't be surprised when everything, including her, drifts away. What if I told you the real reason most men never become magnetic isn't because of their looks, money, or even confidence, but because they fail to master control of their own energy? Sounds strange, right? But think about it. What's the first thing a woman notices when you walk into a room? Is it the shirt you're wearing, the shoes on your feet, or is it the silent aura you carry, that invisible force, the way your energy radiates before you even say a word? Can either pull people toward you or push them away. Have you ever wondered why some men, without speaking much, instantly draw curiosity and respect, while others try hard but still go unnoticed? Why is it that certain men can walk in quietly and the room shifts, yet others can speak loudly and still remain invisible? Could it be that true attraction isn't about trying to show off, but about mastering the energy you give off? How much of your daily life is wasted on leaking your energy through overthinking, unnecessary talking, or trying too hard to impress people who aren't even paying attention? Isn't it true that when you're anxious, needy, or restless, people sense it immediately, even without you saying a word? And if women can feel this energy instantly, doesn't it mean that your presence matters far more than your words or actions? Energy control is one of the most underrated aspects of attraction. Most men are never taught it. Instead, they focus on surface-level tricks. What line to say, what cologne to wear, what text to send. But here's the truth. If your inner energy is unstable, no words, no outfit, and no game can hide it. Imagine two men at a table. One is restless, tapping his leg, looking around nervously, desperate for attention. The other sits calmly, his breathing slow, his posture relaxed, his eyes steady. Who do you think she notices first? It's not even a contest. Calmness radiates strength, stability radiates confidence, and presence radiates value. You see, energy leaks happen when you're not centered, over-explaining yourself, checking your phone too much, talking too fast, chasing conversations. These are signals that you're unsettled inside, and unsettled men rarely attract women, they repel them. On the other hand, when your energy is contained, when you can sit in silence without fidgeting, when you can hold eye contact without blinking away nervously, that's when women feel something deeper. They feel security. They feel that rare stability most men don't have. Now here's the twist. Women don't consciously think, wow, he controls his energy well. Instead, they just feel it. It's primal. It bypasses logic and hits them on an emotional level. They don't analyze it. So the real question is, if attraction is influenced more by energy than words, then why do so many men spend all their time memorizing lines instead of mastering their presence? Why are men willing to spend hours in the gym to build muscle, but not a few minutes a day to build inner stillness? Why do men chase external validation when the strongest magnet is already inside them, waiting to be unlocked? The man who controls his energy doesn't chase attention, he commands it. The man who masters presence doesn't need validation, he becomes validation. And the man who learns to radiate calm strength is the one women quietly crave. But here's the bigger mystery. How do you actually train yourself to hold this kind of energy when most men are naturally restless, anxious, and scattered? What if the very thing keeping women from seeing you as rare and valuable isn't about what you do in front of them, but about what you do when they're not around? Think about it. Women don't just watch your words when you're with them. They watch the life you live when you're on your own. And here's the hard truth. If your life looks empty, if your time is too available, if your world revolves around them, why should they chase you? Why do so many men lose value the moment they give all their time to a woman? Why does constant availability kill curiosity while distance seems to ignite it? Isn't it true that when you have nothing else going on in your life, she can sense it instantly? How often do men fall into the trap of making her their main purpose instead of letting her join an already meaningful life? And if women are naturally drawn to men who are busy, focused, and driven, then why do so many men keep rearranging their schedule to prove loyalty, only to end up being overlooked? Could it be that the real problem is not rejection but overexposure, giving her too much of you before she's earned it? Here's the reality most men ignore. Your time is the most valuable currency you own. Once you give too much of it away freely, it loses all worth. Women don't value what is always available. They value what feels scarce, what must be earned, what carries weight. Imagine this. Two men like the same woman. One is always texting her back instantly, always free to hang out, always saying yes before she finishes asking. The other has a full life. He works on his projects, trains his body, sharpens his mind, and only makes time for her when it fits into his rhythm. Who do you think she'll think about more when she lies in bed at night? Not the one who was always there, it's the one she had to wait for. The one who seemed harder to access. The one whose life was already rich without her. This doesn't mean you ignore women. It doesn't mean you play childish games. It means you respect your own time so much that you don't hand it over cheaply. Your life should be like a table already full of food, purpose, growth, passions, friendships, challenges. When she comes into that world, she should feel like she's being invited into something greater, not that she's creating your world from scratch. And here's the hidden power. When your life is full, your absence creates gravity. She wonders, what is he doing when he's not with me? Who is he meeting? What projects is he building? This curiosity is what keeps her invested. If you're always available, she has nothing to wonder about, and curiosity dies. And when curiosity dies, attraction fades. So let's ask the tough questions. Are you giving away your time too easily? Are you unknowingly training her to take your presence for granted? Are you showing her that your life is built with or without her? Or are you silently begging her to fill your empty spaces? The truth is, a man who knows how to protect his time becomes instantly more valuable. A man whose schedule reflects purpose and discipline is far more attractive than one who waits by the phone. And a man who makes her earn his time doesn't need to chase because she'll chase him. But here's the twist. How do you balance being present enough to connect with her, yet scarce enough to remain mysterious and valuable? How do you live a life so rich in purpose that she wants to compete for a place in it? What if I told you that the strongest power a man can have in a relationship is not his charm, not his looks, not even his words, but his emotional control? Yes, think about it. A man who cannot master his emotions becomes a slave to them. And once he's a slave, he becomes predictable. Once he's predictable, he loses power. But a man who can hold steady when chaos rises, when arguments come, when silence stretches, suddenly becomes rare. Why do so many men lose everything the moment their emotions take over? Why does one angry text, one desperate call, one jealous outburst destroy attraction faster than weeks of good effort? Why do women pull away the second they sense that a man's happiness depends entirely on how she feels about him? Isn't it true that the world teaches men to express everything without ever teaching them how to direct those emotions with strength? How many relationships have collapsed, not because of lack of love, but because of a man's lack of calm? And here's the hard one. If women crave stability and safety in a man, then why do so many men let their emotions act like storms, leaving her feeling unsafe instead of secure? Let's be real. Women don't test men with words alone. They test with silence, with indifference, with unpredictability. Not to be cruel, but because nature pushes them to see, is this man steady? Or will he collapse under pressure? Here's what most men don't realize. When you get overly reactive, you hand her control of your reality. If she ignores your text and you panic, she now owns your mood. If she flirts with someone to test your confidence and you explode, she now controls your peace. If she withdraws her attention and you beg, she now dictates your value. But when you remain calm, when you choose not to get dragged by every emotional wave, something shifts. She sees a man who doesn't break. She sees strength. She sees safety. That's not coldness, it's mastery. True emotional control isn't about suppressing feelings, it's about holding them, breathing through them, choosing wisely how to respond. A storm can rage inside you, but the surface remains calm. That's what makes a man magnetic, because she sees, if he can handle himself, he can handle me. If he can handle me, he can handle life. Think about history's great leaders, warriors, philosophers. Did they win by screaming at every challenge, or did they hold stillness when everyone else panicked? The man who controls his emotions is the man people trust to lead. And here's the beauty. When you're calm, she starts to chase your energy. She leans in. She wants to know what's going on inside that quiet confidence. Your steadiness creates mystery. Your calm becomes attractive because calm is scarce. And what's scarce always holds value. So the question is, are you handing away your power by letting emotions rule you? Are you destroying attraction every time you let anger, jealousy, or desperation explode unchecked? Are you proving to her that your reality is fragile, or are you proving that your peace is unshakable? Because the man who can master his emotions doesn't need to beg for respect. He commands it. The man who can stay calm doesn't need to chase stability. It comes to him. And the man who can remain steady in the storm becomes the anchor every woman secretly longs for. But here's the deeper challenge. How do you train this calm in a world designed to pull you into chaos? How do you build an inner peace so strong that no test, no silence, no rejection can shake it? Let me ask you something that most men never even think about. What if the reason she doesn't value you isn't because she doesn't like you, but because you've made yourself too available? What if your constant presence, your instant replies, your endless attention, your willingness to drop everything for her has turned you from treasure into background noise? Why is it that the more time and attention you give away without balance, the less she seems to care? Why do women often lose interest in men who orbit them like the sun, but chase after men who carry their own lives with weight and direction? Why does being always there often create boredom instead of appreciation? Why is scarcity, something being rare, so powerful in attraction, yet most men live as if they're infinite, disposable, and cheap? Have you noticed how she values the man she doesn't always get, more than the one who never leaves her side? Here's the truth that stings. Constant availability kills mystery, and without mystery, attraction withers. Humans, especially women, are wired to want what isn't guaranteed. Scarcity has been a law of value since the beginning of time. Diamonds aren't rare because they're hard to find. They're rare because not everyone can have them. And it's the same with a man's presence. Think about this. If you flood her with endless attention, what's left for her to earn? If she never has to wonder where you are, what you're doing, or who you're becoming, then why should she feel urgency? Why should she feel lucky? She's already certain of you, and certainty without effort doesn't create desire, it creates complacency. Women respect and chase men who have lives that matter outside of them. A man with a mission, with a purpose, with passions that take his time, he is scarce, he is valuable. He's not texting all day because he's building something. He's not always free because he's committed to his growth. And ironically, this makes her want him more. Scarcity isn't about playing games. It's not about ignoring her on purpose. It's about reality. Your life is full, meaningful, rich, so of course you can't always be there. Of course you're not glued to your phone waiting for her. You're moving, you're living, and when she sees that, she feels something primal. She feels that she could lose you, and that's the key. Attraction grows in the space where she realizes you are not guaranteed. When your presence is rare, it becomes precious. When your time is limited, it becomes respected. When your energy is given selectively, it becomes treasured. Think of a man like Marcus Aurelius or Seneca. Do you imagine they were available every moment to any woman who called? No, their lives were too large for that. Their time was consumed by purpose, by philosophy, by empire, by growth. Their presence was a privilege, not a commodity. And that's what made them magnetic. Scarcity makes her lean in. Scarcity makes her invest. Scarcity makes her remember that your time is not free, it is earned. So let me ask you, are you living like a man of scarcity or a man of excess? Have you turned your presence into something rare and valuable, or have you allowed yourself to be taken for granted? Have you become so available that she feels no urgency, no desire, no chase? Because here's the truth, a man who prioritizes himself doesn't have to pull away to prove anything. His life already creates the absence naturally, and in that absence, attraction grows. Here's a tough question that might shake you. What if the reason your relationships keep collapsing isn't her baggage, but your inability to master your own emotions? What if it's not about her mixed signals, but about how you react to them? Why do so many men explode with anger or drown in anxiety when a woman pulls back for a moment? Why does neediness rise the second she doesn't reply fast enough? Why does silence make you panic instead of stand tall? Why do so many men live as if her mood is the weather, and their peace depends on whether it's sunny or storming? And here's the real question. If you can't control yourself, how can she ever trust you to handle life with her? Emotional mastery is not about being cold. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about staying calm in the middle of chaos. It's about holding your ground when things feel shaky. A man without control of his emotions becomes like a leaf in the wind, easily blown, easily broken, easily forgotten. Women don't want a man who cracks every time tension rises. They don't respect a man who begs, pleads, yells, or sulks. They want a man who carries his emotions like a warrior carries his sword, firm grip, but never reckless. Think about it. If she feels like you're going to collapse the second she's distant, then you're not her rock, you're her burden. And no one desires a burden. But when you can feel the storm inside and still walk forward steady, you become a force she can lean on. That stability is rare. That stability is magnetic. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means you don't let pain make your choices for you. You don't text 20 times because you're anxious. You don't blow up because you're scared. You don't spiral because she's quiet. Instead, you breathe, you observe, you act with clarity. And here's the paradox. The less you react, the more she respects you. The calmer you are, the more she feels pulled toward you, because your calmness signals strength, your stability signals safety, and safety, combined with mystery, creates desire. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That is the entire game of attraction in one sentence. It's not her silence that matters. It's your panic. It's not her pulling back that matters. It's your overreaction. And when you can master that, you shift the power. Because here's the truth. A man who rules himself rules the relationship. So let me ask you, do you control your emotions, or do they control you? When she tests you with distance, do you stay calm, or do you fall apart? When she withdraws, do you chase harder, or do you stand taller? Let me leave you with the hardest truth of all. Most men fail in love, not because of women, but because they refuse to fix themselves first. They pour their energy into saving her, convincing her, or winning her over, while their own foundation is cracking. And here's the kicker. No woman can respect a man who hasn't built himself first. How can you expect loyalty if you don't even stand loyal to your own purpose? How can you expect peace when your identity depends on her moods, texts, and attention? How can you expect attraction when your life is empty outside of her? And the ultimate question, how can you save her when you haven't even saved yourself? The real solution to the "I can fix her" syndrome isn't about learning clever tactics. It isn't about pulling absence like a trick or acting mysterious as a strategy. No. Totally. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to fix anyone because his own life is already full, grounded, and complete. This is why detachment is so powerful. Not detachment as a mask, not pretending you don't care, but detachment as freedom. You live your life, you pursue your mission, you find meaning in your work, your health, your growth, your brothers, your faith, your path, and by doing so you create a natural space where she must choose you, not out of pity, and not out of need, but out of desire. Absence will happen naturally when you're busy building something greater than her. Scarcity will exist, not because you're avoiding her, but because your time is valuable. Your aura grows not by proving yourself to her, but by proving yourself to yourself. This flips everything. Instead of chasing, you attract. Instead of begging, you command respect. Instead of trying to be her savior, you become your own savior. And paradoxically, that's when she feels pulled toward you. Because women don't crave a fixer, they crave a man already fixed, already strong, already rooted. The Stoic closure. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. That's it. Stop debating, stop waiting, stop hoping she'll change. Build yourself, stand firm, live with purpose. That is the cure to chaos, to heartbreak, to confusion." Look back at what we've walked through. Detachment, absence, self-worth, purpose, scarcity, calmness, emotional mastery, confidence. These weren't tricks, these weren't games, these were the pillars of a man who is unshakable. And when you live by them, you don't need to fix her, you don't need to chase her, you don't even need to wonder if she'll stay or go, because your life has already won, with or without her. That's the freedom, that's the peace, that's the power. So, the "I can fix her" syndrome, it dies the moment you realize you don't need to fix anyone but yourself. That's the solution, and it's been here all along. Now the question is, will you just nod at these words, or will you actually live them? Because your future depends on the answer.